Mohammed Kakiika. Today I'm going to share with you my tree planting experience. Planting trees as a business. And with the intention that any one of you, especially the youth, whether they are self-employed or those that are in the corporate sector, even to the seniors, to look at my experience of this man who 17 years ago, I think I started buying and planting trees in 2009. It was May 2009. That between that period coming to 2 decades, I have planted close to 2 million trees. 1,000,000 trees every decade. And the trees have been really planted. I'm talking about planting, not harvesting. So I've planted close to 2 million trees over the 2 decades. And then at first I started with the trees that were, what you hear, what people are talking about is what you go with. I started with pine trees. I planted about 70,000 pine trees. And, dotted all over my land. Until when, after about 8 months, I realized the growing of pine was a little bit slower because I did put in also some traditional trees like Msizi. I realized that pine was growing much slower than the Msizi trees. And I realized that pine wasn't a native of our area. So I started scaling down on the pine until when I was introduced to other types of trees, the fruit trees, where we are seated right now, and then also the eucalyptus. I started with the traditional eucalyptus trees, the one that take long to mature, but which have very good timber. So by around 2013, I had close to 900,000 trees, dotted all over. I not started harvesting then, until when I realized that the places where I planted the eucalyptus has outgrown the pine trees. That I started harvesting, the eucalyptus trees, yet pine had no sign of giving me money. They were talking of 15 years and upwards. The most optimum time was 25 years. Mohammed said, no, that is not me. So I started scaling down onto the pine and even some areas reducing or by removing it and planting other types of trees. And I think it is about 10 years ago when one of my customers was buying the eucalyptus trees, advised me that instead of planting these traditional eucalyptus trees, whose rate of growth and whatever is slow and maturity is very slow, why don't you try some of the trees that, how do they call them? The GU, the cuttings. Incidentally, a brother was doing them. So the lady directed me to that place. Then I started planting, the cloned types of eucalyptus. And I realized that this area around Lake Victoria, central region around here, there's a type that they call GU, especially GU7, that it is very ideal for our soils and climate, and it grows very fast. So I started planting the GU trees, I planted a lot of them that at one time I had about 460 acres of the GU trees. And when they were young, there was a lot of grass that was growing. And I was fighting with the villagers for grazing their cows into my eucalyptus. So until when one time I simply decided, I think 2010, that if the villagers are herding their cows into my eucalyptus, why don't I buy the cows myself and start herding him? So incidentally, I started also herding cows in my eucalyptus. The first interview that was done with me, people were wondering which one is which. Is it the tree planting of eucalyptus or it is the animal rearing? Which one are you interested in? I said one augments the other. So to the people, the targeted people in this audience about the issue of tree planting. About 8 years ago, I developed a formula of planting intercropping trees. with other items. I started with coffee, with other items, so that you can have a double harvest. When I realized that the coffee wasn't doing very well, wasn't flowering very well, I uprooted it and then developed another area that is now the intercropping of young eucalyptus with maize. Whenever I was harvesting my forest, I could replant it with maize, and they grow at the same time. People have a tendency that eucalyptus, drains the soils and nothing else can grow into the soil. I said, no, this might work. So I later realized that my maize was growing very well, and equally the eucalyptus was growing very well. In fact, they were competing for light. So by the time I removed my maize, the eucalyptus had grown tall. But I could add on a certain fertilizer, NPK, 17, when I have removed. I've shared this many times and many times. So to put this matter into perspective, let me get specific to certain specific areas so that people can get to understand. Let me start with one area which was recently recent, I mean that is about 6-7 years ago. There's a place called Indiva in another sub-county. I bought about 25 acres. I bought them 45 million. I planted first the lower part. I planted it with the eucalyptus trees and maize. I later also planted the upper part, same month, also with the eucalyptus trees and maize. I harvested the maize. By then I had not started, having cows onto zero grazing. That maize was dried and it was eaten by my workers, and the rest was sold. I also gave a lot to charity. Most of the primary schools that are in my locality, I was giving them sacks and sacks of maize flour for their break, so that children could have something to eat. Then what shocked me, that within 2 years, the trees were already ready for pruning or thinning. And it wasn't my suggestion. There's a young man called Anthony, the one who suggested to me that, Muzei, can we go and thin out the smaller trees so that the big ones can really take chance so that they can grow big? I said, fine. Then who is going to pay? The young man told me, no, we are the ones to pay. So what? Each pole, the small one, will be at 4,000, and the medium size will be at 5,500, and the large poles will be at 7,500. The young man handed me 4.5 million. And I said, fine, you go and do the pruning, but be very careful. So they pruned the trees. Within 4 years, my trees were ready for harvesting. Still, the buyers are the one who approached me. They approached me first for the lower part and offered me 45 million for the lower part, and they harvested it. The upper part, they offered me 42 million, and they harvested it. Now, people, I'm giving you factual information. These are practical lessons. Practical lessons. I don't expect anybody to come for my neck for teaching people how to make money the right way. Now, the land that I had bought 45 million, and added on about another 10 clearing it up and the rest, because I found it when it was almost cleared. I recovered that money in 4 years, and I even earned a profit on it. So in retrospect, within 4 years, I had recovered my money that I used for buying the land, and made even a profit on it. Now, I showed to you again that after harvesting those trees, I replanted. The lower part, I first replanted the bisagazi because I had a lot of cows for zero grazing. The upper part, I planted the trees. I showed it to you when I was planting the trees and planting in the maize. Today, we have already started harvesting the upper part. We have already done the thinning on the trees on the upper part. The lower part, I've removed the bisagazi napia, pakchong, because the farm was so far away from my area. So other people used to graze their cows into my area. Now I have replanted my trees. I planted the trees alongside the maize. So you can see them. I've just walked through. You can see the maize, we plant the one that grows very fast. And it is not allowed to go and dry because it is going to be used for making silage. So 3 months you are cutting out. You can see how well the trees have grown. The upper part, they're already fine. That is one area. I can take you to another area. I call it Gurudo. That is a place in Nkuragirire. It's about, I think, 29 acres. That one, I bought it in May 2009. The 29 acres from so many different people. I think I bought from 4 or 5. I bought it 14 million. 14 million. And it is on that same land where you see those dams that I found rich, sand. The area had a lot of sand. I had never dug sand. I didn't know what sand was until when I was told by people, that area you are sitting onto sand worth millions and millions of shillings. That is how I went into the trucks. I harvested sand from that same land that I bought 14 million. I harvested sand that was in excess of 200 million. The people who sold me the land are still there and neighbors. And they were working on the land because I allowed them to get some money from working onto their very own land that they had sold. After removing the sand, then I planted the maize. And I also planted the eucalyptus. I have harvested since 2009 from that place. I have harvested trees 3 times. Until recently, today, you can see I have replanted. And I replanted the maize with the eucalyptus trees. We have just removed the maize. You can see now the eucalyptus tree standing. But you can look at the pattern. And this is what is very critical. Look at the pattern of this man with regards to tree planting. And this is the core of my conversation with you. Have you seen that I have planted all trees at the same time? They have all grown at the same time. All these are 3 months. There are those that are 6, 7 months. There are those that are 2.5 years. Just in that place in Nkuragirire. You can go to another place where it is adjoined, Lusanja and Indiva. 2 sub-counties, I joined them. You can see trees, these ones where we've just removed the maize, which are 3 months. You can see the ones at the upper side, which are 2.5 years. You can see onto the upper area trees that are 1 year old. You can see others that are 9 months. You can see others that are 6 months, where people are even still planting their crops. This man and everyone in whichever profession that you are in, as long as you are ready to use your brains and the resources, you can make it. It's a model that I have used. Don't plant the forest all at once. I have some big forest, 200 acres. But that is a forest like in Makukuba and alongside in Nkuragirire. I plant it for 2 years. Meaning I also harvest it for 2 years. Because whatever I planted first will be harvested first. Because by the time I have reached the 200th acre, where I started, the trees are ready for pruning. I have done the same in Rutengo, Nagalama. When you reach there, I've ever shared that with you, with people, when people were farming in there. I have about 30 people who are tilling my land. There are 77 acres. That's a place where I don't even step there. Sometimes I spend as long as 6 months. And my job is for them to call me to say, we have cleared this place. Can you please send your trees so that we can plant your trees and we also plant in our items? They are mostly ladies, widows, elderly women, and the youth. How on earth can you invest into something that you have no cost? But it is only your humanitarian act that helps you to harvest whatever you want to harvest. 77 acres. You can see some trees now are getting to 3 years. There are some trees that are a year. There are some trees that are 6 months. There are some trees that have just been planted this season. All being done by people from Nagalama and Nachifma Township. They are doing it for me. I can go on and on because I have 11 places where I do plant trees and use that model. The question is, what do you learn? What experience have you drawn from what this man has just narrated? As a young man, as a fresh starting working person, as a mid-corporate person, and any other, whether you are even a senior citizen, a retiree. People often thought that tree planting is ensuring, that is your pension for old age. People thought that tree planting is a long-term investment. Today, Mohammed Kakiika is trying to show to you that this is a man who has developed a model for tree planting, which is as good or even superior to people who invest into financial products. I can bet one person to tell me that I have my 1 billion. I put it into unit trust and they're giving me 12%. Let me challenge that man, Mohammed Kakiika. I'm risk-free. He has a lot of risk in farming. Let me challenge him to see who will have the highest rate of return on investment. I am ready to open up my books because I've shown to you where I invested about 55 million in Indiva. And after 4 years, I'd already gotten about 100 million, and yet my land remained. It is my land. I've just harvested the maize again, and I have replanted the trees, and some of the trees that I planted first, I've already done the thinning. I've already pocketed 7 million from the thinning of the smaller poles. Is everybody going to get involved into farming? No. Because is Mohammed Kakiika an agriculturalist? No. He's an economist. I'm an economics teacher. I'm a school principal. But when I do and act and work on all these things, it is the same way as a school principal. You manage your staff. You manage the parents. You manage your governors. You manage the students. I wish people could know that in any business that you want to invest into, apply all the virtues of humanity. Look at how this man, the way I treat my maize or my whatever is like I'm dealing with a human being. Same as in a classroom. You have some very brilliant children, you have some slow learning students, you have those that are rowdy, you have the noisemakers, you have those that are always shying away from everything, you have those that are quiet. But as a good teacher, you're a teacher for all. That's what I do with the trees. If they are growing slowly, I have something to do with it. What experience have you drawn based on your age, your occupation, your income, your administrative position that you are in? Many people are going to ask, you are talking about buying land 2009, 2018, and large tracts of land. Can you help us to get to know we who are starting? Guys, go back to some of the history. I've talked a great deal. You know, by the time I started planting those trees, by the time I was 42, I was close to 1 million trees. So I never bought land. When I'm 60, I clocked 60 recently. I think last week, I clocked 60. And now people are talking about, but you know, for you, you have a very high income base. They are forgetting that this is a high school teacher who started at a time when we were being paid meager salaries and resources. And I took the bold decision to go and work as an expatriate worker. And I knew there was a limit to working abroad. I came back with my savings and I started investing it. People, especially people in the corporate world, unless when you are on national service, there are some professions that are very difficult. I've been visited by many people in uniform. I hope you understand when I say men in uniform. They are supposed to be protecting Ugandans, the Ugandan boundaries, our property and lives. They don't have the liberty that no, in the afternoon or over the weekend, let me go and work on my farm. But many men and women in uniform have visited me. I will not mention the ranks, but if you are to start with the generals, I think they exceed 10. If you are to talk about police commissioners, they exceed 10. If you are to talk about permanent secretaries, they exceed 10. And then most importantly, the people that I give a lot of my time, the youth. I've seen, I think doctors, they're exceeding 20. Doctors who are in government hospitals, doctors who are into private practice. There are so many lawyers. There are so many people into the financial sector. There are so many people who are into the private business. But I have given you this example onto how this man is juggling the trees for you to draw your experience that I am not going to plant trees. I'm going to go into baking cakes. I'm going to go into setting up a tour and travel agency. I'm going to go into this business. How do I use the experience derived from this man to excel in the area where people thought trees were pension for pension, trees were long-term investment? The man has turned trees into a weekly, or should I say monthly? The trees are paying me a monthly salary, contrary to what most people thought is possible. I can't state that whatever I have said is applicable to everybody. Not at all. There are some people who are very risk aversive. Either they don't have the talent for business, they don't have the time for executing that business, or they are just risk aversive. Please do what you feel is safer for you. Don't try. I'll say it again. Don't try Mohammed Kakiika's theories until your life, which might end up bankrupting you. Try, get this experience, but do what you feel will suitably arrange and put you into a good position. Thank you.